But the first pick already through here as INTZ are going to take away Siva. Macau with a whole lot of engaged potential, and they've banned away the majority of the support champions.
Yeah, so actually hitting Dumbledore down in the bottom lane there, but not taking away Thresh, which is just weird.
Really, really weird, Spawn. That's exactly right. Morgana and Lulu are going to be taken away. Of course, Tokka's aiming that one at Energy, doesn't want to be against that Lulu in the mid lane.
Nautilus is also available coming through here, and they have also Respect banned away the LeBlanc. Left the Ahri up though, and Lee Sin is also still available.
Yeah, Revolta can head back to that incredibly powerful early game jungler if he wants to, of course. I'm only saying incredibly powerful when it's in the hands of Revolta, because we've seen Lee Sin fall out of the meta.
Yeah, exactly right, but Revolta
Gragas
used him to great effect here. Yeah, I think Gragas is the huge one here. I'm surprised Theocles didn't take it. Instead, they grabbed the Maokai for Thaldrun, and he went absolutely massive. They have Dumbledore's Thresh, the kind of absentee ban that was so weird.
Yeah.
You can see they're playing heavy engaged, so what do they get rid of? All the disengaged champions, and I love the Respect to Energy's Lulu there in the mid lane.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just crazy because he's still got things like Orianna available. If you're going to hit certain picks, it doesn't really... The ones that they didn't make much sense, but they do lock in Gragas, they do lock in Ahri. And once again, we said INTZ, they love to run early game. This is another early game composition.
Yeah, and with Siva as well on the hunt, being able to run around in this one at the same time. And it's not going to be Macau on the Jinx, so they don't need to get too frightened of the level 3 triple kill to come through. Of course, is pretty difficult to make that one happen yet again, as now Beşiktaş thinking about their next 2 picks. And they've got a whole lot of flexibility now. Thresh Maokai gives about nothing away.
Yeah, Nunu Lucian is what I'm expecting to come here through here for Theocles and Nardius in respectively. Being able to buff up the AD carry just a little bit gives Nardius some tools in there. Rek'Sai, more of an aggressive jungler, looking to match aggression with Revolta. I'm not expecting that to come through, but wouldn't be overly surprised if that's the case. But Lucian really is the key pickup here. Nardius definitely has looked the most promising on that AD carry.
Yeah, but Rek'Sai going to be locked in here for Theocles though, so I guess they've listened, wanting to answer the aggression being put on here by INTZ, but INTZ seems to be dictating this kind of pace, and that is dangerous to be answering this sort of situation by falling into the game plan of your opposition. Isn't necessarily going to work out. Teleport Smite Shyvana though being thought about for Yang, and Jockster's locking away the Nautilus, and this is a terrifying INTZ lineup.
Yeah, it certainly is. They just have so much initiation now coming through from Jockster, Gragas, not to mention the fact that Yang is able to fly in from the back line and take out what is a relatively short-range Nadia. So they'll have to be incredibly careful here, Beşiktaş. And if they do go with Orianna, I will be very surprised that there's not a Nuno on the composition, because he just does so many things in this that Rek'Sai does not. They've got all the initiation they need in Thaldrun. So the jungle matchup now doesn't really make overly a lot of sense to me, but we'll have to see exactly how it works out and whether Theocles can use a Rek'Sai to get them ahead early. That's what it's now all about. If Theocles isn't able to do that, the Rek'Sai pick is a waste.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange, but I guess Rek'Sai probably one of the only champions that can manage to gank an Ahri early on in this one. The knockup very, very important, but are they even going to be able to lock down Tokkas early on in this game? Is that going to be their game plan?
Oh, they definitely have kill potential on mid lane until level 6 comes through. Even then, Orianna deals quite well with Ahri in the little skirmishes. As long as she doesn't get caught in transition, that's the thing about Orianna. You can't really leave your lane unless it's warded up extensively.
Yeah.
Because the mobility of Ahri is just going to be too much. Throw in the fact that Gragas is there as well. There's just too much pick potential coming through. But in the actual lane matchup itself, Energy should be completely fine.
And do you think there are going to be any lane swaps here? Of course, 2 short-range AD carries, 2 hooking support players, but is it going to be about the top lanes here? Does the tree want to get away from the dragon?
No, not necessarily. Thaldrun's shown that he can go into the 1v1 matchup easily. Maokai jungles fairly well on the early game, especially level 1 is able to pick up a quick level 2. Yep. Shyvana a much better jungler. So if you do go into the 2v1 matchup, expect Yang to not even go into his lane for a little while, to just run around, probably take 2 or 3 camps, teleport down there with level 2 and some consumables. So I think that standard lanes or lane swap, not really being dictated to in the draft itself. I think that both teams will fare equally as well, unless they want to unlock someone like Dumbledore to be able to roam around on the Thresh.
Yeah, well, I guess that might be an opportunity here. Both of these support players may, in fact, want to be doing that because both with that initiation potential, the death sentence, the dredge line to come down. So these supports, they may want to get out of that lane.
Yeah, and there's a reason that Nautilus is such a good roaming support, and it's because he used to be a jungler. He fulfills the second jungler role better than most people because he's first off a jungler. So, yeah, exactly right. They have the ability to get Joxter into the lanes, try and affect some quick ganks. Gragas sets up ganks very well with his flash body slam. You're able to get in there and gap close extremely well, but as I said, I don't think that either team is too pressured to look for a 2v1.
Well, we'll see whether that does come down and whether or not Revolta is going to have the early game power that he's had previously. His Lee Sin was, of course, available. They opted out of it, wanting to pick away that Gragas from Theocles. And look, I understand it because, of course, Theocles did look fantastic on the champion. Gragas himself is just insanely good at the moment, just in general. But Revolta, would he have had a little bit more of a chance to impact the map early on the Lee Sin or something like that?
I really prefer Gragas over Lee Sin right now. He's got CC where Lee Sin doesn't have any early game. His gap close is much more reliable in the form of the body slam. I just honestly think that Gragas is superior to Lee Sin in most categories at the moment, as we are about to jump on the Rift.
Yeah, getting onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be Beşiktaş of Turkey taking on INTZ of Brazil, and already people being discovered. Tholdren going to have to move away from this top side of the map. Does get a ward down, though, and spots every member of the Brazilian lineup heading through this jungle. Yeah,
and already you see the huge 5-man stack coming through from INTZ, but they're against EpicSkillshot. You need to be careful. If at any point you get caught out, the stragglers will be picked off quite effectively. As another sapling spots out Macau, he takes some damage.
Not very good at soccer. Or football, depending on where you're from, as Macau is going to get that one into the back of his head.
I think we should go with football. Audience appropriate.
I think, yeah, I knew I made a mistake as soon as I said it. But Energy is going to find the team here as well. Wards are going to be placed. And the deep vision now available for Beşiktaş. Of course, their bottom lane heading towards the bottom side of the map because INTZ were all grouped up.
Yeah, so INTZ are the ones that look for the lane swap early, and it's because of Shyvana's earlier jungle prowess. You have to think that they feel confident taking this one, although I really don't think it gives too much away unless they go for a late invade here onto Rek'Sai.
Well, they are pinging him out. Energy now throwing the ball around in this mid lane as well, as Rek'Sai might be discovered.
Yeah, Rek'Sai, Theocles' jungle is in absolute tatters now. He's not going to be able to grab anything early. The invade comes through. Yang's going to be able to pick that one up along with Revolta. And all of a sudden, Rek'Sai is so far behind.
Can't do anything. Nadius and Dumbledore, they're going to be able to take down the Gromp and head towards this bottom side, but that means they were unable to freeze up this wave. We'll see whether that was a decision that they made on purpose.
They might catch Theocles for a second time here.
Oh, goodness me. Yang now able to get the damage down. The flash into the dredge line, catches him after the flash, burns down as well. Joxter locks up first blood, and man, Brazil have come to play.
And that was just a bad jungle path coming through from Theocles. He got forced away, and all of a sudden, just continued on the top side of the jungle. If there is a 2v1 as Dumbledore comes in for a roam,
yeah, there's the hook onto Tokas as well. Command attack dissonance going to land. Clockwork wind up doing some work, but in comes the rest of INTZ. Dumbledore is going to get locked down by the stun. Joxter with so much of an ability to get around this map, even at level 1, but they don't pick up the kill. No one going to fall. And it's just Theocles that has died this game so far.
Yeah, and everyone holds summoner spells as well. That was a very long skirmish coming through and not very many people burning anything. So Tholdren, he's joined in the top lane. It's a 1v1. Maokai versus Sivir. Maokai will be completely fine in that matchup, especially with the extra consumables. And it really is only Theocles that's fallen behind in this game. Revolta now going to get a 3-buff start because once he recognizes Theocles very low, can't go in, rotates down to his own red buff after taking Theocles, and he'll be able to grab the blue buff whenever he wants on the return.
Yeah, and the thing is, Rek'Sai just has so much power in the early game generally, but now he's going to have absolutely none.
Yeah, exactly right. And it was just some greedy pathing that came through, was absolutely punished, as Yang actually picks up a Hunter's machete there, so he's looking to take down those Krugs. You'd have to think at every opportunity after he's shoved out. Looking for the extra 15 gold that comes through, not to mention some nice sustain against monsters.
Probably wants to get to that skirmishing saber as soon as possible as well, now that he's up against the Lucian.
Yeah, potentially looking for the 1v1 to come out there. Also make some effect of the second summoner spell. Think it's a worthwhile pickup. I know that if you are in a position where you're against the top laner and it's a 1v1 lane, you're expecting jungle pressure to come through, can be incredibly risky. However, at this point in the game, it's going to be 2v1. You know he's going to be jungle farming more than anything, as Revolta is spotted by Rek'Sai. So Theocles at least caught up in levels.
Yeah, it does have even farm here with Revolta, who hasn't been back to base.
That is so bizarre. He just was there and he left his top laner to potentially get dove.
Yeah, he's hanging around here. Prey Seekers are going to land onto the Brazilian lineup. There are some wards around here, so Brazil not going to be unnoticed in their movements around. Dumbledoge heading up towards this top side as well as Tholdren able to take down a cannon. Oh, actually missed it. A little bit sad there. Uses the Twisted Advance to clear out a creep, and the dive not going to come through just yet.
So Dumbledoge also comes up into the top lanes, leads Shyvana versus Lucian 1v1 in the bottom side of the map. You'd have to think that is firmly in INTZ's favor, going to be able to shove that lane out now at will. They've got a 2v2 unfavorable, you'd have to think, in the top lane. And mid lane, not much really going to come across here, but Nardius will start to maybe struggle against the Shyvana.
That's what a lot of these matchups tend to do here in the mid, is when you've got a lane swap, it's just going to be a bit of an island. Revolta takes down the blue buff here as well. 3 buff start complete, as Theocles now just tries to get as many jungle camps as he can find.
And we'll see whether he goes for the Chilling Smite or whether he goes in for something a little bit more farm heavy. Because if he does go with Chilling Smite, he'll be able to gank a lot more effectively, but he's just not going to be able to catch the Gragas in terms of how much experience he picked up early. As Dumbledoge in for another gank on the mid lane. So we mentioned the fact that Tokas might be, I guess, soloed out here in trying to get some focus down on him early. That definitely looks to be the case.
Oh yeah, Dumbledoge though was forced to leave that mid lane area because there are a whole lot of the Brazilians heading down that river. And Nautilus and Gragas just seem to be friends. Revolta and Jockster just chilling out in the enemy jungle.
And
really wanted to get
Dumbledoge
something
has got
happening.
overextended here onto Macau. They're going to pincer in. Wisely backs away. Some good Sixth Sense maybe.
Yeah, Dark Passage going to land there, but Dredgeline onto Dumbledoge gets stunned up just a little bit as in goes Tholdren. He does get out eventually using the flash. Macau goes down as Dumbledoge picks up the kill, and I don't know how that worked, but Tholdren played that so aggressively and didn't get punished.
Yeah, so Tholdren dove back in, had to flash out, but it was really all about Dumbledoge, who got the first playthrough and then hooked him back under turret with Ignite. Just able to take the 2 turret shots in there and picks himself up a well-deserved kill.
Yeah, really beautifully played. If we have a look at this CS line in the mid lane, Energy actually quite far ahead here, 60 to 50. Has picked himself up a Chalice and a couple of Doran's rings as well, so he's going to be very, very safe in that mid side. Of course, Yang is going to be ahead on farm, but man, Tholdren has really kept up despite all of the action here on the top side. And you can see it's a 100 gold lead for Beşiktaş, or maybe a 50 gold. It's nothing at all.
Yeah, so in the end, they have to swap back because Beşiktaş, they've picked up CS advantages in 2 of the lanes. Orianna has 1, not to mention the fact that Nardius has a CS advantage.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the real terrifying thing. Make no mistake, the AD carry player for Beşiktaş is their star. And if he is able to get ahead, he will really punish this INTZ lineup.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about Nardius as well is he's their star player in the team fights in the later stages of the game. He sort of sits back for these early phases, but then really manages to shine after the CC's gone down and then just tears everyone apart.
Yeah, so we see Revolta sweeping out a pink ward there. A little bit more attention now coming into the mid lane. 2 pink wards actually on the bottom side of mid. So you mentioned it, the focus that will come through onto Energy in the mid lane now seems to be there from the INTZ lineup.
Yeah, they've lined it all up here as Dumbledoge is going to get Dredgeline back. Nice double body slam, and the Thresh going down so low. These tanky members, Yang's actually going to teleport in as the flash is going to net the Dragon, potentially a kill. No, Revolta's going to lock that one down. As
Dive's
Yang
going to come
looking
through,
for the
Nadius,
dive.
you are in trouble.
And Yang is so tanky as well. Skirmisher Saber going to be used as Revolta. He's getting taken down low, but Tokas arrives and he picks up the kill. INTZ with an incredibly aggressive but beautifully played out dive.
Yeah, so able to get there in the end. It was all because Tholdren got greedy with his teleport to get more farm. Went back into the top lane. So in the end, the teleport from Yang wasn't able to be matched, and they're able to get the successful blue buff invade. The denial of vision was very strong around mid lane, and that's a very powerful first move coming through for INTZ.
Yeah, really beautifully done.
Although now the energy shockwave.
Yeah, he's looking for something here. Revolta body slams out, but it's a beautiful boomerang to get energy to half health here. He does not want to go any further. As Tholdren able to take down this top lane outer turret as another creep wave comes through. Yang is going to try and get some damage down and does have a Cinder Hulk, but Tholdren, he's managed to do what he wanted to. He's getting burnt down though. Yang's got a lot of damage with just that health item. Of course, the burn with your burnout, it's pretty insane.
Double burn coming
So
through there.
many
But
burn.
couple of objectives going to be hit back here for Beşiktaş. They pick up the top lane turret. They're going to get first dragon as well. So even though they got killed, 3 members down in the bottom side of the map, they're able to pick up the first 2 meaningful objectives.
Yeah, really looking good. Macau, though, he's headed back to base, picked himself up a pickaxe, does have a little bit extra gold based on the kill and the couple of assists. Tokas doesn't quite find the charm as Energy's going to shield himself up anyway, and mid lane is back at it. Dissonance with a lot of damage. Nadius actually going aggressive as Macau does have a red buff, but does manage to get a massive burst of damage down.
Yeah, so able to get through that spell shield and picks himself up some damage as there's now a gang coming through from Revolta into this top lane. Will be spotted out by a ward, and Theocles' tunnel network, even though he was put behind early, is become incredibly impressive.
Yeah, Jockster actually going to use that dredge line to escape the gank in the bottom side as Theocles has turned up down here. Actually managed to stay relatively effective in this game. I mean, 29 CS to 28. Hasn't got his jungle item completed like Revolta does, and Revolta has been involved in 3 of the 4 kills on this map here for INTZ, so able to do a whole lot of work with that as far as the gold is concerned, but Theocles not going as bad as Dark Passage forced to be used here as Nadius is burning down from that Ignite from Jockster. Doesn't manage to find the last couple of ticks, and Dumbledore, she's going to have to escape, but INTZ with a lot of pressure on this bottom.
Yeah, and they're able to push them out of lane, which means that Nadius going to have to go back and shop. Top lane turret fell as well, so all of a sudden the gold lead's starting to open up for INTZ, and if they get the bottom one as well, control of the map starting to fall rapidly in their favor.
Yeah, Theocles and Dumbledore are going to try and do their best to clear out this minion wave. Are going to be able to do so successfully as they're running out of creeps here, are the Brazilians. Tokas clearing out minions in the mid lane as well, and he's very, very close to that Luden's Echo, and that's going to mean a whole lot more wave clear, but also a whole lot more burst damage.
Yeah, it's just the assassination potential that comes through with one item. Ari really did hurt from the missing DFG. If she wanted to go more of the assassin path, of course, you can build Ari purely as a mage as well, and she does very good consistent damage, but with either the Luden's Echo or the old DFG, you're a complete mid-game assassin, just able to get in there and burst people down.
Yeah, smash people in the face with those items. Of course, having some extra AP scaling also going to help out, although it doesn't scale that great. It is definitely still more in the arsenal here for Ari. She had enough, honestly. She was able to do buttons all the time on that champion.
Yeah, she certainly is a very good combo mage coming through there. You can wait on your ultimate to get a second reel of your spells up. She just does significant burst damage. And stealing away that blue buff from Energy honestly set the Orianna back behind. We saw that Energy was starting to get a very big lead in the mid lane. It has stayed at about 10 CS, but just when you thought that Orianna would be able to take over the lane completely, missed out on the blue, and now being a little bit bullied or at least pressured in the mid lane.
Yeah, and Revolta actually thinks that this top side of the map is his in the entirety as he's taking down the red buff of Theocles while Yang is getting rid of these Krugs. Meanwhile, Beşiktaş in the bottom side are trying to fast push this outer turret.
But there's going to become a 3-man dive in the top lane. Tholdren's in trouble.
Does have a catalyst and those Merc treads, but you're exactly right. This Maokai not as tanky as he's known to be in the later stages of the game, and the inner turret might need to be sacked here by Beşiktaş.
Yeah, so they have to back away because they can't defend it, but a tier 2 turret at 13 minutes into the game would be an absolute nightmare. Creep Wave does run out, and Dumbledore has rotated around, so won't be able to get too much more damage on it, at least you hope, for Tholdren's sake.
Yeah, Tholdren doing the very best that he can to try and clear this one out. He does hold the minion wave off the turret here for a bit as well, and Beşiktaş successfully defend as Nadius versus Macau on the hunt has been popped. Boomerang not going to find the Lucian as the culling comes through. Nadius able to answer back on this one. Does flash forward. There's the passive to come down. Double teleports through here. Nadius picks up the kill, though, as Yang's looking for him. Tholdren, of course, in here at the same time. And, man, Nadius is a boss on this Lucian.
Yeah, and that was just a bad play coming through from Macau. Thought he could out-trade him, but Lucian in the mid-game is the best skirmisher. Just not able to get the boomerang blade across because of all of the mobility in Nadius's kit, and now they're looking to pick up a mid-lane turret.
Yeah, they got a lot of creeps here as well. The barrel is going to help clear those out as Tokas is going to be able to throw a ball over the top, so INTZ successfully defend the mid lane, but this gold lead is dissipated yet again. Yeah,
so back to nearly even. The kill advantage still in INTZ's favor. Turret's about to be equalized in Yang, so it will balloon out a little bit. Although he's forced away now by the rotation that's come through into the bottom side of the map. And Beşiktaş, they're looking shaky, but they're slowly piecing it together.
Yeah, twisted advance onto Jockster here as he gets shockwaved back under the turret. Beautiful play from Dumbledore. Jockster flashes out and realizes that was an odd decision.
Dumbledore's mechanics on Thresh is amazing. He hooked himself to a creep to get into range to flay him back further underneath turret, just using every piece of his kit to his advantage.
That was beautifully done. Hopefully we can see a replay of that in slow motion at some stage. Getting a head shake for that one. But Nadius going to be able to clear out this bottom wave. Macau forced to get out of there as the outer turret has fallen down. And Theocles going to clear out these Raptors as well.
So
a few pink wards.
Theocles has done an okay job at getting himself back into this game, has lost control over the top side of the jungle, you feel, very extensively, but has helped the bottom side of the map get to the place it has been. 30 CS advantage coming through from Nadius, not to mention he picked up the 1v1 kill that has to feel good against your direct opponent. So he's sitting on an Infinity Edge and a Brawler's Glove. So pretty strong right now on Lucian. Lucian, as well as Jinx, probably have the best one Atom Spike on Infinity Edge, just because of the fact that their passive as well as the minigun give them so much additional attack speed, or in Lucian's case, just the ability to shoot more times.
Yep. I like that.
Ashe is the other one, but I won't mention her.
Is that because it makes you feel sad because she's still an awesome champion? Or is it because she's not very good in the current meta?
She's not very good in the current meta.
Oh, that's sad. I'm sad about it for a very different reason. So I think Ashe is awesome. No one seems to play it. Yang, though, is going to help pushing out this mid wave. He's doing exactly what Yang's known to do on this Shyvana as well. Just run around and try and get auto attacks on structures, and he is going to be able to take down the mid lane outer turret. Nice death sense onto Jockster, who gets played back in as well. Titan's Wrath gets broken as Dumbledore gets taken down so low. Bouncy castle available as Energy unable to use the effective shockwave and then flashes out of there. INTZ just so good at these skirmishes. Orbit Deception after a wonderful charm as well from Tokas as Yang looking to take down some wolves. Thought he was going to chase after a kill, but no, of course, the jungle much more important. Jockster going in very aggressively as he's tanking up the turret. Tholdren's picking up that kill easily as Theocles now to come through. The Maokai not going to suffer too much there. Revolta very, very low as there's Chilling Smite available. Tokas doesn't land the charm as Theocles is able to tunnel his way out of there. And Beşiktaş, they limp away from the fight, but they lose the Dragon.
Yeah, so they lose out on Dragon. They lose out on the team fight, and Energy whiffed the shockwave. Not a good feeling coming through there for the Beşiktaş mid laner, because you feel if that was in the right position, in that choke, would have been much harder to get across and collapse onto Nadius the way they do. As the hook sails to the right, Yang able to dodge out on that one. He is incredibly quick right now.
Also incredibly tanky, about to finish off that Warmog's armor as well as this Shyvana. And Yang is almost going to be unkillable. In Dragon form, so much effective health, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it comes through with all the added resistances coming through there. As we see Theocles heading back to his red buff. I believe this is the first red buff that he has been able to secure for himself all game.
There's still a slight question mark on it as well as to whether he's going to secure it, but Energy comes over the top, is able to offer a ball. just to help him out, and he is going to secure that one as well. It wasn't Jockster's idea to get over there and try and disrupt that action, and their ward just ran out anyway.
Yeah, so able to push in here in the mid lane. 3,000 gold. The advantage right now for INTZ. So the early game definitely going in the favor of Brazil. And they've got a very incredibly powerful Ahri now. Split pushing in the top lane. Has the Luden's Echo. Prioritizing boots too. Some cooldown reduction coming through from that Fiendish Codex as Revolta's trying to solo out Theocles, but that's just not going to work. You are a Gragas.
Yep, you're a tank. And Beşiktaş are waiting alongside here as well, Folger, and looking to try and get amongst it, as Theocles will need to go back to base and get some health back. Yang split pushing in this bottom side, but not actually pressuring any turrets just yet. He's quite a way away.
But he's 40 CS ahead of the Maokai round now. Tholdren just not going to be able to do his job, as well as Yang, who is a legitimate threat on the backline. He's going towards what you would assume would be a Thorn Mail as well. And from that point onwards, Nadi is just not going to be able to kill him.
No, most definitely not. I mean, he'll have to try and ignore the Shyvana, hope that Dumbledore can actually peel that one away, which is going to be very, very difficult. As Yang able to get some vision down here as well. Theocles is going to spot that one out, but he's gone Warrior Enchantment, and Yang is not afraid of this Rek'Sai at all. There might even be kill pressure, as that was a Chilling Smite that did not slow Yang at all.
Yeah, so not able to get anything done as Soldier, and he's being pressured by 2 people. So that was only 3 members on the bottom side of the map, but still enough to be able to take down majority of this turret.
Yeah, and Energy is trying to help out, but
they take it all. They're able to get the rotation through on that one. They might be able to grab top as well. Beşiktaş in all kinds of confusion, not able to even pick a fight.
Yeah, they're not committing to anything with all of their members here. They're just sending a couple down there and losing these objectives. Macau takes a lot of damage, though, as Yang looking for something. Tokas, though, he's going to kill Dumbledore as Revolta hanging out behind the turret is going to take the Vengeful Maelstrom damage, but then dances. He doesn't really mind at all, as now this inner turret is going to be under fire. Tholdren, Arcane smashes the wave, but he just doesn't have the wave clear. Gets charmed up, but the turret falls down.
So they lose 2 turrets, a member, and they pick up a blue buff in response. INTZ with much better shot calling coming through in game 1. It's 21 minutes in, and they've leapt out to a 7,000 gold advantage.
Yeah, 8-4 in kills. They're even on Dragons here because Beşiktaş did manage to take down the first one, but the 5 turrets to 2. That's the massive statistic, because now INTZ, with the superior shot calling this game, also have massive map pressure.
But Yang is just huge. Like, that's as far as it goes. You have a 3-item Shyvana with boots too that is going to be diving onto a 1-item Lucian. There is no way in the world that Nardius or Energy can currently kill Yang, and he's going to be able to wreak havoc across every member.
Yeah, and you saw the attack dissonance combo go across Yang as well, and it did no damage at all, and he's got no magic resist in his item build whatsoever.
Yeah, so just getting everything from his ultimate coming through there. Has got so much effective health now, especially against the AD users coming through on Beşiktaş. And his mission is just to take out Nardius, let Energy be dealt with through Tokas, but the top laner right now is in a position to really carry out this mid game much earlier than you'd expect a Shyvana to be able to do.
Yeah, and I understand that Energy is behind, just wants to get some effective statistics as well, but I disagree with the arm guard. I feel like Energy needs to be picking up as much AP as he possibly can, and it's going to mean that this shockwave is just going to bounce people around, but they'll just ignore it.
Yeah, and I don't know who it's directed to either. If he gets caught by the assassin in the mid lane, as Tholdren trying to fight here.
Yeah, they're looking for Yang, the drag.
Yes.
What the hell? Yang takes absolutely no damage at all. Hasn't even blown the ultimate. The burnout doing so much work as he dives over the top. The culling going to be used here. That's the only way Nardius can actually get anything down, as my goodness, that dragon took so long to die, and Nardius almost killed himself.
Yeah, Nardius actually wasn't hit by any abilities there as Theocles dove.
Yeah, trying to get the dive on, but Revolta still tanking up this turret. Macau getting the auto attacks off on the Hunt's Beam pop. They do take the turret down, but Macau's going to pay for it with his life. Energy picks up that kill. Doge takes a lot of damage. The charm, though, not going to land, as that was an interesting flash. Orbit Deception comes over the top. Tholdren still looking to engage this one. Dissonance for the speed up, but a nice Riptide is going to help get them out. Energy takes a gigantic burst of damage as Tokas gets the ultimate back available. Spirit Rush, one more charge as Orbit Deception's going to find energy again.
They've got Yang back available, but Tokas is dead.
Yeah, he is super dead as Energy gets the shutdown there. Teleport to come through from Yang, though. They want to re-engage. Energy gets stunned up as Jockster trying to be the hero. Energy's going to die. Nadius, super low, gets smote here by Yang, who now again finds himself in amongst multiple members as Revolta's chasing Dumbledore. And Yang, I have a feeling, might be able to 1v3 as he's going over to the Gromp.
Yeah, so the problem is he doesn't have CC, but they actually can't kill him. Without Nadius having a Last Whisper, there is just no way he currently dies.
Yeah, well, he's got the Vamp Scepter going, hopefully, towards that Bilgewater Cutlass and Blade of the Ruined King, so he will have a little bit more sticking power. After that, I'm hoping for a Frozen Mallet. But we'll see whether that one does actually come through. INTZ going for their second Dragon. 10-8 now in kills. The gold lead still at about 7,000. A little bit less, 6.5. So Beşiktaş not behind by as far, and Energy picked up a couple of kills in that last skirmish. He's now got a needlessly large rod.
Yeah, so he's at least hitting a little bit harder. Also, Nadius is still equal items coming through with Macau, which is absolutely massive for being behind, what, 6,000 gold in a game. So he's getting the farm he needs, also going to pick himself up a red buff, but they need to continue to stall this game for much longer. And unfortunately, with that turret going down, they no longer have the tools to be able to do so.
Yeah, and Tholdren, he's 3-0-3, but he's behind 60 CS. And Yang just looks so much bigger. You can see he's level, I believe, 15 to level 13.
Yep.
Which is just nuts.
Yeah, and this is the thing about Shyvana. She just picks up CS wherever she goes. Trying to push into the mid lane now is Beşiktaş, so they'll at least get a turret back for their problem. Revolta needs to be careful there because Nadius, if anything, has shown that he has a willingness to be aggressive, and there are members in the top and bottom lane currently for INTZ.
Yeah, it's the 1-3-1 split push coming down here, but of course Macau with a lot of wave clear, they are able to defend that turret.
They're pinging out Baron on the side of INTZ.
Do you think they just feel like they're further ahead than they actually are, maybe?
Well, they're really far ahead, so I don't know how much further ahead you can be. 7,000 gold at 26 minutes is a fairly significant margin.
Oh, it's not completely
That's
shut out.
Two major items.
It's not like we can do anything and still win, though, you know?
Isn't it?
Isn't it?
I think it is.
All right, okay. Well, look, you're the boss. So we'll take your word for it, Spawn, and we'll see whether they are going to go for the overly aggressive play on this Baron. Not going to be going for it just yet, though, as INTZ just going to get some exclusive vision of the area. They're sweeping out as best they can. Beşiktaş still with some decent defensive vision on this top side, but other than that, there is nothing there, and INTZ are just running freely.
Like, no one can kill Yang right now, so Yang can honestly go up and hit that inhibitor by himself, and unless they bring 4 members to it, they can't kill him, and they're just going to be able to start up the dragon regardless.
Yeah, Tokas is actually standing on a ward here as well. They haven't swept this one out, but INTZ, they do have exclusive vision of the pit, and they know that Tokas is standing there. There's nothing that Beşiktaş can do, and this is the perfect example of a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, and they go for the lose around the Baron, so they're going to give up the first inhibitor of the game. And once again, there's just no good decisions coming through for Beşiktaş. Look at Tholdren. He's trying to whack him down. Probably does less damage right now than the base regen coming through from Yang.
Yeah, and Yang might just sit alongside.
I don't know why he's backing away.
Yeah, it's a bit interesting. Maybe lost vision of a few of the members here as actually INTZ have gone down fairly low from this Baron, so it's their turn to be a little bit indecisive here.
Yeah, so INTZ, I'm very confused by how Yang was just playing that fight against Soldier, and you saw he was getting absolutely no damage done to him whatsoever. Could have just continued to run up there, hit the next inhibitor a couple more times, would have been able to take that one down easily. He had complete vision of everyone on the Beşiktaş lineup, but instead decides to play it extremely safe and back away.
Yeah, Theocles now going to be able to clear out that pink ward there as well. So Beşiktaş clearing vision, and they've got wards now in this Baron pit, so they're clawing their ways back in. They haven't lost an inhibitor, which is very, very important. But INTZ still firmly in control.
Yeah, certainly are. They have all the control over the entirety of the map. They're able to take away the bottom side of the jungle still. So even though that is a 60 CS advantage, it is much more in reality because most of those are monsters, as Yang has just been probably farming more effectively than both junglers on the map as well when it comes to the jungle. And you see that he's now level 17 to level 14, just able to take away everything, continue to push.
Yeah, BF Sword's completed here for Macau as Energy. He's going to get bounced back into his team. Uses the Zhonya's there as it blocks out the damage from that one. Oh, that spell shield was god tier from Macau. Shockwave doesn't do anything. Nadius now under fire as Orbit Deception not going to find the last hit, but double kill from a massive crit out of Macau. The body slam onto Thaldron as INTZ, they are going to follow him over the top. Tokka's actually taking a fair bit of damage here, but does get the shutdown. INTZ, only Dumbledore now alive for Beşiktaş. And they can either take the base, take the Baron. INTZ, they got so many good options.
Yeah, so they're going to just be able to push in here. Yang can just take up the turret realistically, although he goes on a sidewave mission to try and push in bottom simultaneously. So they will get 2 inhibitors, and once again, a horrible shockwave coming through from Energy. Just not able to get on top of anyone. So both key shockwaves missed out this game, and he streams back in, but needs to be careful he doesn't get re-engaged on. Yeah, they are going to lose both of the inhibitors here as Yang, he's just tanking up everyone, not too worried about much at all as the members of Beşiktaş going to get slowed down. Nice explosive cask, going to stop the re-engage as INTZ, they just want to get back to base, pick up some items, and head straight to the Baron. Yeah, exactly right. You nailed it. They've got control over the bottom side of the map. Baron is the next clear objective to come through for this team. You see the Ahri has picked up a death cap. 5-1-5. My goodness. Tokka's in the mid lane. He's an absolute monster. Hasn't really been the flashy carry this game, but every single team fight just does a little bit more than Energy. And Beşiktaş look like they might be going for a Desperation Baron, although now they're just clearing it out. Probably can't hope to get much done. Yeah, they get rid of the vision though. And Dumbledore's able to get some down for himself. It's pinged out by INTZ, so they know where to sweep that one. 8 turrets to 3 though. This is the big deal, is INTZ have just taken down everything from the Turkish lineup. And Yang, he's just going to solo out this dragon. He's got a Blade of the Ruined King now as well. Yeah, exactly right. He's picked up another Ruby Crystal. You'd expect him to go towards some version of MR, maybe a Spirit Visage, most likely probably the Banshee's Veil coming through there. I like Spirit Visage if you're going to take a Blade of the Ruined King, as Theocles is going to get a ward down here, but Yang did take away the dragon, didn't even use Smite. Yeah, so he's going to be able to smite the Gromp. Exactly, that's what you got to do. Need that buff. And we see they're completely ignoring Baron. They just want to push in the top wave, recognizing that someone has to go in there eventually to deal with it because it's the only wave left. And in the bottom lane, Shyvana just once again split pushing by herself, going to be able to shove in. If they don't go right now, Shyvana will just take the whole base. Yeah, Charm going to land onto Thaldron here as well, as Righteous Glory has been popped. It explodes now, though. INTZ, they do make it out of that situation, as now they pop their own. Nice spell shield. Going to block away the Prey Seeker, but Righteous Glory going to fall down again. And Yang, he's going to take a Nexus turret. Yeah, so he might just take the whole base. Cannot be stopped in here. You saw how little damage the couple of shots of the culling did to him, and he's just able... He would win that 2v2, I think. Oh, yeah. Theocles is super squishy here as well, as this Rek'Sai's continued to be low. And man, Energy just gets torn apart by that combo. Jockster, he's going to get hooked up there a little bit. Nadius gets knocked up by the ult Thaldron, as well as Twisted Advance to try and get him in amongst it. But man, Tokka's is doing some damage. Energy does use the Zhonya's, but it's not going to do much at all, as Theocles now going to get fire breathed at him. Yang just being the gatekeeper to the fountain. And INTZ with a gigantic first game victory. Beşiktaş, they looked great in the early stages. There were some things that were working well, but INTZ, they got one dive in the bottom lane, and that snowballed the whole game out of control. Yeah, exactly right. They understood that they had the teleport advantage and were able to push it. What did we say? Orianna can't walk down first because she'll get caught in transition. Yeah. No teleport coming through from Maokai meant that it was a 5v3, and they just weren't able to do anything, coming up absolutely huge with the early dive. Yeah. And they just rotated that gold into all of the early objectives. INTZ understanding that they had the mid-game power. Not only were they ahead, their champions were stronger at that part of the game. And in the end, it was an unbearable Shyvana coupled with a scary mid-game assassin, Ban Ahri, that just tore Beşiktaş apart. And I have to think that most of that game revolved around how massive Yang was. There was nothing that they could do about that Shyvana whatsoever. And what do they do now? Do they ban that away? Does Beşiktaş need to react
that aggressively against the Shyvana or just pick differently?
No, I think the picks were fine. I actually disagree. I think the Shyvana became a massive problem, but it's how you get there. Your mid laner can't stand up to the Ahri. Your jungler fell so far behind. What does that mean? That Maokai's left on an island to try and deal with a Shyvana. So do something better in the early game. Get some control over the map. Maokai would have scaled into a late game tank as well. You saw that he was very tanky himself. Oh, yeah. It was just that everyone else, Energy was getting like one comboed through from Tokkers.
Yeah.
Like Shyvana is the vocal point because it's so tanky and ridiculously, I guess, in the end of the game, it was just there, but realistically, it was everything happening around it that allowed Yang to do what he was doing.
It's facilitated towards that late game. We do have a replay, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get that up on your screen. And this is the first fight of the game.
Yeah, so this is the one where it went all wrong. Look, Tholdren, he's ultimate on cooldown. Both mid laners, exactly the same position, but all of a sudden, when we roll this one out, you see Theocles. He goes in, but the teleport straight away from Yang comes through on the backside. Dumbledoge's caught out. Orianna cannot lead Ahri. Has to walk behind it. So Ahri going to be there. On the backside, they're able to pick up the first kill. Nardius is caught between the whole team. So he comes back through and tries to get underneath the turret. Not able to get it done. Theocles rejoins him. And still, Orianna has to take the safest way through the jungle just in case Tokkers catches her out. In the end, it's a 3-for-0. And no response can come through for Beşiktaş.
Yeah, and so all about that transition. I didn't actually see that during that play during the game, but of course it was the fact that Energy was unable to make it to any of those engages whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly right. And the reasoning is until Ahri shows herself on the map, there is very real potential that you face check a brush, Ahri charms you and 100s to 0 you, which you don't help the fight either. So either way, Energy was caught between a rock and a hard place. Does he go the aggressive route through, try and get there in time and get blown up by the Ahri, or walk the long way around and in the end just be completely ineffective?
Well, we'll see whether the Ahri does cop a ban. Of course, LeBlanc also a big option there for Tokkers, but it was only game 1. This is a best of 5. We're going to go to a short break, but we'll have game 2 right after this.